Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating set of travelogues from an April 21st, 2026 trip straight through the heart of the Loire Valley. We're going to explore three iconic stone fortresses that perfectly capture the essence of French history, royal ambition, and architectural mastery.
Now you might be wondering, what exactly connects a bitter royal love triangle, the absolute genius of Leonardo da Vinci, and the world's finest spirits? Well, it's a bit of a historical mystery, and the answer is actually hidden right inside the thick stone walls of the French countryside.
So looking at our itinerary today, we're tracing a legendary trail of the French Renaissance. We're going to kick things off up in the sweeping landscapes of Loire Valley, and eventually we'll travel all the way down into the dark ancient cellars of Cognac.
Act 1. Château de Chenonceau, the crown jewel.
Stepping onto the riverbank, the audiologues describe this absolute marvel, a palace that looks like it's literally floating directly over the flowing waters of the River Cher. It's famously nicknamed the Ladies' Castle, and for good reason. Its entire existence was shaped by a fiercely rivalrous succession of brilliant women who built it, fought over it, and ultimately saved it.
This architecture right here marks a massive turning point in French Renaissance monarchy styling. We're talking about a complete shift. Dark, defensive, medieval fortresses with those tiny little arrow slits, gone, replaced by these sprawling palaces of light. Fortified walls gave way to grand, open windows, and old defensive moats were elegantly woven right into perfectly symmetrical formal gardens. It was all about taming nature and bringing the outside in.
And oh man, the royal drama here is intense. Just look at this timeline. It starts simply enough with Thomas Boyer and Catherine Brisonette building the main structure in the 1530s. But then, King Francis I literally seizes the property from their heirs over fraud allegations. Wild, right? Later on, King Henry II just hands it over to his favorite mistress, Diane de Poitiers. But the second Henry dies, his widow, Queen Catherine de' Medici, swoops right in and takes the castle back for herself.
That bitter rivalry, it is permanently etched into the landscape. You can see the striking contrast. On one side, you've got Diane de Poitiers' original additions. She's the one who built the very first bridge spanning the river, alongside her beautiful formal gardens. But on the other side, you have Queen Catherine's response. She built her own highly refined gardens and pulled off a massive architectural flex right on top of Diane's bridge.
Yup, 180 feet long. Catherine de' Medici's crowning architectural achievement was this massive two-story enclosed gallery built directly over the flowing river. It was an extravagant, light-filled space designed for one main thing: hosting massive, lavish royal parties. It is an absolute showstopper.
But honestly, the fact that this gorgeous structure is still standing today is entirely thanks to the later women of Chenonceau. Women like the White Lady, Louise of Lorraine, who stayed in mourning here for 15 years, redecorating her rooms entirely in black and white. And later, in the 1700s, the brilliant intellectual Louise Dupont. She literally talked an angry mob out of destroying the castle during the French Revolution by pointing out that the bridge was absolutely essential for local travel. Talk about quick thinking.
Moving on to Act 2, Château d'Amboise, the genius and the crown.
Following our traveler's path away from the gentle River Cher, we arrive at the sweeping, elevated stone ramparts of Amboise. This was the royal seat and the childhood home of King Francis I. Try to imagine the thunder of hooves here. They actually built massive internal ramps specifically so horse-drawn carriages could ride straight up into the fortress. Plus, it was surrounded by vast forests, which was an absolute must for the royal court's favorite pastime: hunting.
But Amboise isn't just about royal hunts and fortresses. It's really about culture. As this quote points out, there's a profound connection between the powerful French crown and the unparalleled genius of the Italian Renaissance. King Francis I was a massive patron of the arts, and he personally invited the great Leonardo da Vinci to come live right here.
The travel notes highlight something really awe-inspiring. When you walk these village streets today, you're stepping on the exact same cobblestones that Leonardo da Vinci walked. He spent the final 3 years of his life in a small neighboring chateau, right near the king, bringing his brilliant mind directly into the French court.
Now, to fully understand the history of these monuments, we do have to acknowledge their shadows. Amboise bears the dark stain of the Amboise conspiracy. During the Wars of Religion, rebelling Protestant Huguenots were captured trying to kidnap the young king, and hundreds of them were brutally hanged directly from the castle windows. It's a stark reminder that history is heavily layered within these beautiful stone walls.
Which brings us to Act 3, Chateau de Cognac, the Spirit of Kings.
For our final act, the itinerary pivots south, moving from the visual heights of the Loire Valley into a deeply sensory experience inside the thick medieval walls of Chateau de Cognac. And it's kind of amazing how this comes full circle. This 13th century stone fortress is the actual birthplace of King Francis I. You can still spot his royal emblem, the fire-resistant salamander carved right into the stone. Then, centuries later in 1795, the chateau was saved from ruin by Baron Otard for a very specific, and let's say, delicious purpose.
Baron Otard realized those thick medieval walls were absolutely perfect for aging spirits. So, let's break down the magical multi-step process happening in these exact cellars today. It all starts with extracting eau de vie, which translates to water of life. It's a clear liquid sitting at a fiery 70 to 80% alcohol. From there, it's aged exclusively in specific French oak barrels from Tronçais or Limousin, which is exactly what gives the spirit its rich brown color and deep, deep flavor.
Now, here is a truly fascinating part of the process called the angel's share. Because the oak barrels breathe, roughly 2% of the cognac simply evaporates into the air every single year. And get this, that alcoholic vapor actually feeds a distinct black fungus that literally paints the stone walls of the cellar black. It gives you this stunning visual and incredibly aromatic history of the room.
So why age it in a medieval castle of all places? Well, the number 15 is the key. Those original 2 to 3 meter thick defensive walls serve a vital modern purpose. They naturally maintain a perfect constant temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. That is the absolute ideal environment for aging those precious oak barrels.
And when it comes to the final product, this classification table reveals the incredible dedication involved. See, you don't just pour cognac straight out of one barrel. A master blender tastes and perfectly combines these different ages, from a VS aged at least 2 years all the way up to an extra aged up to 80 years. They meticulously blend sometimes dozens of different vintages to nail that ultimate consistent flavor profile.
The enduring French spirit, a legacy in stone and oak.
The real takeaway here is that these aren't just empty, dusty tourist spots. From the elegant, light-filled Renaissance galleries of Chenonceau spanning the river, to those dark, aromatic medieval cellars down in Cognac protecting centuries-old spirits, the history of France is vibrantly alive today. These places are literally living testaments to French art, royal ambition, and incredible sensory mastery.
It's an incredible legacy. So I want to leave you with this thought. If you could step back in time, which part of this magnificent Renaissance legacy would you want to experience first? Would you hit up one of Catherine de' Medici's extravagant river parties, have a chat with Leonardo da Vinci, or stand in a dark cellar tasting a 100-year-old cognac? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.